What is happening, champions? Here we are in the second turreted Tier 5 tank destroyer for the Americans, the M10 Wolverine. And I really enjoy driving this tank. It's a good tank. I'm not going to say it's a great tank. I mean, obviously, the StuG is what it has to compete with, and you all know my love for the StuG. So it's a good tank. It's fun to drive. It's got pretty good armor, got a great gun for Tier 5. It's awesome. The M10A2 gun. And it better be good because you're getting put up against Tier 7s here. 3 Tier 7s on either side, and they've actually got a huge advantage here. They got 5 Tier 6s, and we have 3. So, what the fuck, matchmaking? I mean, really, that kind of sucks, but when you see the way the match goes, you're going to be like, okay. Yeah, it's not, let me tell you something, you're seeing it coming. You know how this one's going to end. But like I was saying, the M10A2 gun, awesome rate of fire, pretty good penetration, and for a 76mm, it does pretty good damage. And keep in mind, the M10A2 gun is the gun the M6 gets on it, the second 76mm that the M6 gets on it, although you don't really need to use it because, I mean, you get the 90mm for it. So, but that's at Tier 6, so that's really cool that this tank can get it at Tier 5, whereas other tanks get it at Tier 6. So, good gun, great rate of fire. You'll see me spam the hell out of shots in this. Oh, that was a nice hit. Hit the 59-16, missed the second shot, hit the third shot, and booyah! Take him out of business. Nice. And that's always good to take a Tier 6 out of the game. And those light tanks are not easy to hit. Nice. I also put some damage into an M5 and a VK3601. Going back to the M5. Took a blind shot there. Like I said before, you're going to see me spamming the hell out of my blind shots in this one. And one of the things about this tank is it has such a high rate of fire, and it actually has a pretty good ammo capacity. Considering that it's a turreted tank destroyer, it has a good ammo capacity. I mean, you have to keep that in mind. So you can use that rate of fire to your advantage and maybe spam a little bit. But, you know, as always, keep an eye on your ammunition. Try not to expend too much. Here's me trying to reposition for far too long, and all in vain. So they've got a tank destroyer on that sniper hill with the amazing vantage point. That's the hill I like to be on when I'm on that side. And what else have they got? Pretty boring right now, but I'm thinking they're going to start advancing through the forest. So I'm trying to start getting ready for turning my turret and the whole of my tank over to help defend the forest. So they got quite a few tanks down there in the southwestern front, and here they come. They're coming through the forest now. I've noticed I'm turning to engage with the threat here. Didn't lead that one properly, but there we go. And you have the rate of fire, you just need to lead, you just need to be accurate, and you can put shots into people. And really, one of the coolest things about this tank is deception, the deception that you can cause amongst the enemies. You try to make them feel like there's more than just one tank shooting at them. And because of the awesome rate of fire of your tank, you can actually accomplish that. I mean, look at that. You're pumping out a shot every, what, 2 to 4 seconds with this thing? It's just awesome. If even. I mean, this tank fires incredibly fast. Boom. Took the M4 out of play. I'm on 3 kills. We're doing all right. Well, we were. We're doing all right. It's even. 5-5 in the game so far, but, you know, like I said earlier, what the fuck, matchmaking. Oh, nice. That was a long-range hit on the SU-152. Put him at 87%. Here we go. We're switching to premium now because we're coming up against a KV-1. We've got to make these shots count. I do not have Sixth Sense on this tank. I cannot tell if he's spotted me yet. Chances are he has, but you never know. There's a lot of bushes in this area. Oh. Boom. Take him out of play. And like I said, just create deception. Try to make your enemies feel like there's more than one tank shooting at them. Because a panicking enemy tank is awesome. That's where you want them to be. It just creates confusion amongst their allies and them, and then you can take that advantage and push it. Now I want you to notice something real quick here. I took out the VK361H, but this AT-7 has actually been camping our base the entire time back here, which was a horrible idea. He definitely should have been in the front line. Do I think he could have saved a lot more of us if he was? Yes. If he had kept himself at least medium distance away from the other tanks camping the obvious tank destroyer spot up there, then there's a good chance they wouldn't have been able to hit his wedding cake, and he would have been able to take some hits for our team. And me being an asshole, I've noticed just how fucked we are, and I throw my GG, and I mean, it's 2 tier 5s and 1 tier 7. I mean, granted, he's at 100% health, but he's also an AT-7. Highly going to doubt that he's going to shift the game at this point, especially when they have 3 tier 7s, 2 tier 6s, and a tier 5 artillery piece. So my point at this, or my thought at this point was to go get the kill on the artillery and at least get my top gun so that I can show you guys the replay and just show you how well the M10 Wolverine can perform in a tier 7 maximum match. So I'm coming around. I know there's no way in hell we're going to win the cap. And knowing most World of Tanks players, they're probably coming to kill us all anyway. One more shot, that's all it's going to take. Boom, there is my top gun. But there goes the S-35CA, so it's 10 to 12. And I'm still thinking that I can take out the artillery, but at this point, I'm also thinking, if there's only one guy in the cap and they're all trying to hunt us down, I might be able to get an invader medal as well. And understandably, I'm having some anger issues with this AT-7. I didn't want to come save him because I just didn't feel like he deserved it. I mean, he really didn't do his job. He should have been in that forest helping us instead of camping the base doing nothing. And I just didn't want to help him. I mean, he could have shifted the tide of the battle. He was a tier 7. He should have been with us on the front line, but he wasn't. And we lost a lot of tanks out there because of it. So I decided to just keep going, try to get the defender medal, try to get the artillery piece, and lo and behold, the fucking heavy on the enemy team is camping in the back of the base. So I try to go for an engine fire here. That's what I'm doing here. Then I switch to tracks, and somehow I don't track him at all. And there you go. Killed by the camping fucking heavy tank in the enemy base. But like I was saying, in a normal match, this is a great tank. And by normal match, I mean tier 5, tier 6. You do get bounces, and it's cool to get those bounces in a tank destroyer. Especially if you're angled as such. You can get bounces off this. Your turret cheeks are really, really slanted. If you can see that, they're slanted and sloped, and it's just nice. Your gun mantle is spaced armor, and you know it's that famous American spaced armor, so you'll get bounces off of that. And like I said, your hull will even bounce shots, but you know you got to watch your lower hull because you have a frontal transmission, and American tanks tend to burn when they get hit in the lower hull. But anyway, there was no way in hell I was going to stand up against his 105mm cannon, so yeah, here I am. But I did get my top gun, and I still had a good match in a tier 7 maximum match. Granted, I didn't pick off all the tier 7s on the enemy team, but I still survived pretty damn long. I was the last tank on the enemy team to, well, on our team to survive and make it to the end. So there you go. Let's go to the after battle results screen. Well, unfortunately, you cannot pick your team, and that's exactly what happened here. You can pick your match, random battle, tank company, whatever. You can pick your tank, whatever you want. Pick the gun, pick the engine, but you cannot pick your team. And that's the one I got stuck with. It's I mean, there were some players that did good, and the M5 Stewart, I don't know why the hell he died. He was being nice to me at the start of the match, but damn, what the hell happened, man? I guess he just ran out and died without even spotting anybody. That sucks. But as you can see, vastly superior to pretty much everybody on my team. The AT-7 actually was camping our base for most of the game, which is just Why? Why would he do that in such a capable machine, especially with the Magic Forest? He could have at least helped us bend our frontal defenses for the Magical Forest. And you know what? It sucks. It really sucks that he was camping that base and came out and got this much damage later. I felt like that was a really waste of a tank right there, but you know, whatever. You know, I'm not driving his tank. I can't, you know, I can't control that. But what I can control is how well my tank does, and the M10 Wolverine is very, very easy to do well in. It's a good tank. It has the gun that the M6 gets on it, not the T1 Heavy. I'll show you its tech tree. That's what I'm looking for. The T1 Heavy gets its top gun is the M1A1, and then there's the M6. Its secondary weapon that you can use, other than the 90 mil, is the M1A2, and that's exactly it's just an M1A1 with a better. Let's take a look at them. It is basically an M1A1 with a better rate of fire, better accuracy, and it weighs just a tiny bit more. So it's the same gun as on the T1 Heavy, which is the same tier as the Wolverine, except better at firing faster and more accurately. So it's a great gun on the M10 Wolverine, and it's a good machine to do good in it. If some of the other more my tier opponents, let's say that, if other tier 5 opponents were shooting at me, they would have trouble getting through some of my armor as well. 51 millimeters and sloped in such a fashion, it's actually pretty bouncy. You would you'd be surprised to see how many shots I've bounced in this thing, especially even the turret. I mean, look at that slant right there, and that sloping. It's just enough to bounce shots off of, and I mean, you really don't have much to shoot at when you aim at the turret. So, because you've got this giant gun mantle and then these slanted areas, so you definitely want to aim at the hull. And like I said before, even the hull is, I mean, it's not really well armored, but the sloping helps, and if you angle it, it helps a lot more. So, it's actually pretty good armor for its tier 4 tank destroyer. But and another thing is, a lot of people will pull up what I have on this tank. Like I said, I'm using the M1A2. A lot of people just stick with the stock turret because they don't really notice the difference in the turrets, except for on the secondary turret, which is this one. It's 16 degrees slower traverse speed. So they think, well, why the hell should I do that? I mean, it weighs more and it turns more slowly. Well, I mean, I know this might be trivial, but to me it's pretty important, because I've survived a lot of matches on 5% health. If you're using the stock turret, and watch this, watch the hit points right here. You've got 20 less hit points, and other than the aesthetic differences up here in the back, that's pretty much one of the only differences. See how you can see how it changes up here and then gives you 20 more health. So I prefer this turret. I think this is it works for me, and I prefer to have more health if I'm ever getting shot at by something, especially when you have tanks out there that you're coming up against, that like the KV-1S, that can do 350 average damage. So you got to be really careful. So, you know, and give yourself the best opportunity to survive against a tank like that. So I feel like the secondary turret is really necessary. And I've got medium caliber tank gun rammer, enhanced binocular telescope, and camouflage net on my M10 Wolverine. So let's take a look at that match. I've talked for far too long. 28,867 credits, 838 experience with a top gun. Knocked out the track on the T29. Knocked out the fuel tank and the track on the M6. Knocked out the track, destroyed the track on the VK3601H. Knocked out the track on the M4. Knocked out the fuel tank on the T25. And knocked out the fuel tank on the M5 Stuart. And the only two that got away without me killing them was the T29 and the SU-152. The two tier 7s on their team. And we hit this guy 3 times, and we hit this guy once. So there you go. That's basically how that match went for me. I got a ton of experience. Well, not so much. 559. It didn't really... I mean, it could have been more if we'd won, for sure. It could have been a lot more. Top gun, 1,870 damage done with 6 kills. 31 shots fired, 23 direct hits, 21 penetrations, 1,870 damage done. 1 hit received, it killed me. So... not a big deal. And 1,819 credits earned. So that's, you know, that was my game. It's my very first Top Gun in the M10 Wolverine, and I know it was a loss, but I felt like I wanted to show you guys how well your tank can perform, even if your team isn't quite up to spec. If you like the video, leave me a like. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Take it easy, gents.